A warrior's soul can break, but honor never bends.
Wow.
In the ancient land of a forgotten kingdom, there lived a legendary swordsman named Kato. His blade, forged in dragon's fire, was said to be an extension of his will, a silent partner in 100 battles. No one had ever bested him, and his loyalty to the reigning Lord Ishikawa, was as sharp and unwavering as his sword. He was the embodiment of a perfect warrior, his life a testament to duty and discipline. One cold morning, a man was dragged before Lord Ishikawa, accused of betraying the realm. The evidence was flimsy, whispered by shadows and paid for with coin, but the Lord's mind was set, and demanded a public execution, a spectacle to reinforce his power. And who better to deliver the final blow than his most celebrated champion? Kato was summoned. He stepped forward, his face a stone mask, his heart a steady drum of obedience. The accused man was forced to his knees, his head bowed, his fate sealed. The crowd fell silent, a sea of anxious faces watching the kingdom's greatest hero prepare to enact its justice. Kaito drew his sword. The blade hummed in the frigid air, its polished surface reflecting the gray, unforgiving sky. He took his stance, his muscles coiling, his mind focused on the single swift motion that had ended so many lives before. He raised the legendary sword high above his head, the metal screaming as it cut through the air. The crowd held its breath, the moment hung, suspended in time. But as the blade began its descent, a sharp, ear-splitting crack echoed across the square. The sword, the unbreakable symbol of his strength, shattered in his hands. The top half of the blade clattered onto the stone ground, leaving Kato holding a useless hilt. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd.
Oh, Lord Ishikawa's
Face contorted with rage. "Weakness," he roared, pointing a trembling finger at Kato. "Your spirit has failed. Your will has faltered." The people began to whisper. Had their hero lost his edge? Was this a sign from the gods that his time was over? Kato stared at the broken steel, his expression unreadable. His heart, however, was a raging storm. He knew this wasn't weakness. It was something far more profound. As he had looked down at the condemned man just for a fleeting second before the strike, he saw it. A small, crescent-shaped scar above the man's left eyebrow. A scar he had seen 1,000 times in his childhood memories. It was the mark left by a clumsy fall from a cherry blossom tree, a memory from a life he thought was lost forever. The man on his knees was not a traitor. He was Kenji, his younger brother, torn from him by the chaos of a war that had ravaged their village 2 decades ago. Kato had believed him to be long dead, a ghost he mourned in the quiet of the night. Now here he was, about to be executed by his own hand. The shock of recognition, the wave of grief and love had traveled through his arm and into the very soul of his sword. The blade didn't break from weakness. It broke from an impossible choice. It broke because it could not kill its master's kin. Lord Ishikawa, furious at the interruption and the perceived defiance, screamed at the guards, "Seize him! Finish the traitor!" But Kato did something no one expected. He let the shattered hilt fall from his grasp. With a grace that defied the chaos around him, he walked to his brother, knelt down beside him, and placed a protective hand on his shoulder. He then turned to face the stunned guards and the enraged lord. He bowed his head, his voice clear and steady, ringing with an authority that surpassed any royal decree. "This man is innocent," Kato declared. "If a life must be taken today to satisfy your thirst for blood, then take mine." He offered his own neck, bared and vulnerable, a living shield for the brother he had just found. A profound silence fell over the square. The soldiers, who had followed Kato into countless battles and revered him as a demigod of war, stood frozen. They had witnessed his courage, his skill, his unyielding loyalty. But this was something different. This was honor in its purest form. They saw not a faltering warrior, but a man willing to sacrifice everything: his reputation, his life, his legend, for what was right. One by one, the soldiers lowered their spears. Their allegiance had never truly been to the corrupt lord on the throne. It had been to the ideal that Kato represented. Seeing his authority crumble, Lord Ishikawa shrieked orders, but his voice was lost in the growing tide of defiance. The captain of the guard, a man who owed his life to Kato, drew his own sword and pointed it not at the brothers, but at the Lord. "We serve honor," the captain said, his voice resonating with the conviction of his men. "Not tyranny." In that moment, the regime collapsed. The army turned, a unified force of righteousness, and overthrew the corrupt lord who had ruled through fear. Cato rose to his feet and helped his brother up. Their eyes met, and in that gaze, 20 years of separation vanished. They were no longer a swordsman and a prisoner, but two brothers, reunited by a blade that refused to kill and an act of courage that saved a kingdom. Their story would be told for generations, a legend not of a sword that killed, but of the honor that gave it the strength to break. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold. If you were moved by Cato's journey, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of honor, courage, and unexpected twists. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the blade's choice. Till next time, stay legendary.